Hey guys, this video will cover getting online, going to a desired website, adding it as a bookmark or a favorite, organizing our bookmarks, and then just from scratch, opening our browser, reaccessing a favorite. The point of the exercise is for a friend to be able to click on a link that'll take them to a website, and then they're going to want to favorite that website and then save it and access it later so they can watch things repeatedly. So the first thing I want to cover is uh, there's a little bit of difficulty sometimes when we talk about getting online or going on the internet. A lot of people think like Google web search is the internet, or their default web page that they go to when they open their browser is the internet. So getting them to distinguish between the two is the first step, so they're not so confused. So on my computer, I have Edge and Google Chrome installed. Those are web browsers. Mozilla offers Firefox, Apple offers Safari. They're just programs that allow you to go on the web and access websites. I'm using Chrome for this demonstration because the person I'm trying to teach is using Chrome. So we'll go through that one. So all I have to do is on my taskbar, which if they need help, get them to get that added to their taskbar. We'll add a tutorial for that later and show people how to add things to the taskbar. But for now, I'm going to assume it's down there. All we have to do is left click Chrome, and it takes me to a new tab up at the top. We can also do tutorials on showing you how to set up by default a specific web page or series of pages to open when you open Google, but for now we're just going to assume that a new tab opens and that we're going to start browsing the internet from here. So for the purpose of this tutorial, the friend I'm trying to teach likes to go on Craigslist a lot. So if we go up to the very top of this new tab, this white bar is called an address bar. So this is where we type where we want to go. Where this gets confusing for most people again is Google and almost everybody now is getting very good at. So this address bar used to just be where you typed in a specific website to go. Now it's actually a search bar too, so it integrates with Google search. So you can just type what color is the sky and it'll give you Google search results for it. But if you know specifically where you want to go, you can type that in the address bar. So for example, Craigslist would just be CRAIGSLIST.org. If we type that, it'll take us right there. Now, if you didn't know that, you could just type Craigslist and hit enter, and then it'll bring up Google search results for Craigslist. And then you'll see underneath it that the web address is craigslist.org. So I guess, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but if you know the specific address, you can just type it in the address bar, hit enter, and it'll take you there. If you don't, you can search, and it gets a little tricky for people who don't know computer stuff. Sometimes they'll search, or they'll think they're going to a site, they'll get a Google search result that isn't that site exactly, and they'll click through on that. So, if you guys are doing tutorials or helping someone through these, try to explain the difference so they if they want to go to Yahoo, they're going to yahoo.com. They're not going and Googling that and then getting like Yahoo with an extra O, and it's not what they want. Very basic description, but you guys know what goes on with that. So we'll go to Craigslist.org, and then once that site loads, let's say we were looking for housing and we wanted to look at this posting, and we find this posting particularly interesting and we want to come back to it later. There's a couple ways we can do this, but for visual aid for new learners, all we have to do is at the top right of the address bar, there is a little star that we can left click, and that'll open a little dialog box for us to add this as a bookmark if we want. And all a bookmark is a nice shortcut for us to be able to access the same web page later without having to remember the URL. So this specific string of letters, numbers, whatever, that's in the address bar, all we have to do is click on our bookmark. So it asks you what name you want, and it usually takes the default name of this web page, but we can name it anything that's easier for us. So we'll say pretty building, right? And then it'll ask you what folder you want it in. If you just want it to be on your generic bookmark bar, which is right here underneath the address bar, then we just pick that. So we'll pick bookmarks bar, and then we'll click done. Now this website will reside right on our bookmarks bar for later. So as soon as we open Google Chrome again, our web browser, If we want to access this web page, we can just click on that shortcut. So if I close this, again, we want to use a web browser to access the internet. So we're going to use Google Chrome. So we're going to left click Google Chrome in our taskbar, and then just beneath our address bar is our bookmarks bar, and on it we have that shortcut that we made called Pretty Building. So if I click that, left click it again, it takes me right there. Now let's talk about combining things into folders. So if there's a bunch of say you're looking for a bunch of houses, or there's a bunch of related pages you're looking at, so like video games, I like to read some articles, or I like Borderlands 3, I like building characters, so I want to save each one of these web pages that has character builds on them for later reference. So we'll go back to Craigslist.org and we'll look for another building. So we're going to look at this house. This one interests us too. We'll go up to the top right bookmarks icon, we'll click it, and we'll name this another pretty house, and then we'll add it to the bookmarks bar again. Click done. So now we have two bookmarks up here. We have pretty building and another pretty house. So what we can do up here is we want to organize these into one folder so we don't get this whole bookmarks bar just packed full of links, because then it becomes unruly. We can't figure out what's going on. So what we can do is right click this bookmarks bar, and there's an options to add a folder. There is an option to add a folder. We'll click that, and then it'll ask you to name your folder. So let's name it houses, and then we'll click save. So now we have a bookmarks folder called houses on our bookmarks bar, and we can just left click, hold, and drag these bookmarks into that folder. So now when we click the houses folder, it'll give us just the list of bookmarks that we've put in there. So now that that exists, we'll close Chrome, and you don't have to close this every time, it's just repetition for people learning how to do it. So now again, we want to go back on Craigslist, we're going to find another house, and then we'll add it, but now that we have a house folder, we can add it directly to that folder. So we don't have to add each one of these to the bookmarks bar, then drag them in. So it'll save you a step once you have your folder made. And if you want, you can also make your folder in advance. If you know you're going on this scavenger hunt for boats, you want to buy a boat, you can make a boats folder on your bookmarks bar, and then as you find links for boats that you want to look into or anything like that, you can just add them to this boats folder, and I'll show you that process. So we'll left click Chrome to open our Chrome web browser. We'll go back to Craigslist, and we'll go back to houses, and we'll find this one. Cool. So we like this one, we want to bookmark it, so we'll left click the bookmarks bar, and we'll name it third house. And these are completely arbitrary, you can name them whatever you want, whatever makes it easy for you to remember what it was and what you want to click on. And now, by default here, my folder is houses. So I want it in the houses folder. You can pick any folders you've made, but we want houses, and we'll click done. Now, it exists in there, third house. And that's how we add things as bookmarks. Now when you're done, say you bought a house, or you realize you can't afford a house, whatever it is, or a house fell on your aunt and killed her, and now you can't stand the sight of houses, we want to get rid of this. There's a couple ways to do this. So if you just want one page gone, you can go into the folder, you can right click, not left click, but the right click option brings up a menu. And delete is one of the options you can pick here. So if you click delete, it goes away. Say you're completely done with houses, you can right click the whole folder and you can delete the whole folder and make everything go away. So just be careful, if there's some in there that you want, don't delete the whole folder or they're going to be gone. The only thing that I'll double check for you is it doesn't look like you can undo that either. There is no undo option in your menu, and you can't Control Z keyboard shortcut to undo it. So unless I'm wrong and I can look into it a little more, I don't think that once you delete something it's coming back. So make sure it's what you want to do. But that's it. So again, we'll use a web browser like Microsoft Edge, which is this here, or Google Chrome. That's a web browser to get online. From there, once we're online, we can go to a website in the address bar. So we can go to yahoo.com, and it'll take us to Yahoo. We can go to Hotmail, if that's even a thing anymore, .com. Yep, and it just takes us to Outlook's page, and you'll see how it just redirects you. So you typed in one site, that site doesn't exist anymore, so they're forwarding you to the site they want you to go to. So that address, that web address is right there. And once we get to this site on our web browser, we're working on bookmarking. So we'll click the bookmark button, and then we'll name our bookmark and specify where on our bookmarks bar we want it to go. And then click done, and it'll reside there. And then when you're done with it, you can right click and delete. It's as easy as that. Thanks, guys.